Welcome back to the chicken house, Rooster Den. We're about to go on that tour. Let's do it.
Excellent! You won't regret it! My tours are one of a kind! Now, there's just a matter of price. The going rate for a genuine StarSap tour is only 100 credits. Great! Let's get this show on the road, eh?
It's a little weird that people come here to see what
So, this is New Homestead's main concourse. This underground area didn't exist when the original outpost, Titan Astro Base, was finished in 2130. Follow me. We'll come back here by the end of the tour and talk about the museum collection. But first, let's go see where people live. Now remember, these people aren't actors. They actually live here, so try to be respectful of that. While the original inhabitants of the Titan Astro Base lived in pods like you saw up above, they transitioned down here when this section of the base was finished in 2144. Space is extremely limited, so you'll notice some overflow here. But more residences also exist on lower levels, which are inaccessible to tours. I'll stop at each of our destinations if you want to look around, or if you have any questions for me. Have any questions so far? The original Titan Astro Base had more habitation pods on the surface connected to some of the old structures you may have seen in the back. As the colony grew, the base was expanded underground, and those hab units were recycled into materials used down here. Sadly, it's difficult to get additional construction done inside these underground caverns. So for now, additional populations are housed in these stacks of old shipping crates. As you might expect, this is where some of the less wealthy can afford to live. It's not glamorous, but they are functional and cozy. Oh sure, I'll be here waiting. The locals love to talk with tourists, but they'll let you know if they're busy. So please respect them.
I can't wait to go away on my learning vacation when I grow up. You'll never catch me.
You wouldn't believe how many offworlders think hiking the surface of Titan is all fun and games. But a lot of thrill seekers end up in my office. Great, another tourist. Let me guess, you slipped on the ice and need a doctor to wrap your sprained ankle?
Wait, what? What's going on?
Maybe. I'm sorry if it sounded harsh. I'm just frustrated. However, I think if you walked a mile in my shoes, you'd probably feel the same. Anyway, what can I do for you?
She's talking through the dog.
Try to be careful out there.
What the hell was that, bro? That was silly. Still no one sitting on toilet yet.
Well, feel free to look around, but don't touch.
Hi there. Always nice to see a new face.
Sure would be nice to get off world sometime.
I kind of want to try food from that junk food.
Have any questions so far?
It says there's a bunch of junk food for tourists.
I'm not sure the exact count, but New Homestead is a fairly small colony. What you see is what you get for the most part, except for some other people who live in the private lower levels. Some, particularly security, and yours truly, even commute from other worlds. Alrighty, we'll be taking the residential elevator to the farms area on the surface level. This way, please. Let's leave these good people alone for now and go check out the farms. Follow me up the elevator.
The people here live a simple life. Try not to complicate it.
New Homestead's farms are the beating heart of the colony. Without them, the original outpost would have shriveled and died. These pods are sealed and climate-controlled, the perfect environment for growing the hydroponic vegetation needed for survival in the early days of the colony.
I don't mind the tourists. They help the local economy.
Any questions about the farms? Good question. It's largely the same, because this was the colony that pioneered the techniques you see elsewhere. But you'll notice that the farms here are smaller and staffed by humans, not robots. Things here are a little more old-fashioned compared to some of the large factory farms you'll find elsewhere in the settled systems. These days, it's a mix of what you find elsewhere in the galaxy, but in the olden days, it was all brought over from Earth. It was a lot of hardy root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, beets, and such, supplemented with corn, peas, green beans, soy, etc., which didn't always grow as well. Oh, they are indeed. Colonists still cultivate plant-based food for their own consumption here in New Homestead. It's less vital to their survival these days, as they also import supplemental food from other colonies, including meats, dairy, and synthetics. However, most citizens here take pride in a New Homestead-grown, sustainable diet. By all means, go right ahead. Feel free to talk to the farmers, but I ask you respect their privacy and don't bother them too much. After all, they are on the job. Come back and let me know when you're ready to move on.
That tour guide showed one of the kids a picture of some silly drawing he saw in Sidonia. Now I feel like it's popping up everywhere. We used to get more tourists than we do these days.
Some of us are quite happy with our lives here. We don't need tourists distracting us with their flights of fancy. We get a lot of tourists out this way, but most of them aren't so bold as to strike up conversations with us. What's your deal? You seem genuine enough. So what can I do for you? From what I know about farming elsewhere, it's largely the same. Big difference is that we need to import or make our own soil. And we need to be extra careful with our temperature control. Titan's surface is frozen, and it's not much better just below it with the ice caves. Then it's just a matter of artificial sunlight and supplying CO2 for the crops. It's not too challenging. Well, for one, it's my wife Mara's farm. I just had the good fortune of marrying into it. It's been in her family for generations. We're the best source of fresh produce in the colony. Not like that processed junk we get from off-world, and certainly nothing like that eyesore chunks. No worries. You have yourself a day now.
It'd be nice to get away for a while, but it's difficult. People rely on the farm. Ah, someone new. Are you a tourist, or have you just moved to New Homestead? Well, there's lots to learn. You can always feel free to try one of the historical tours, or ask the locals about life here. I'm fascinated by the other worlds in the settled systems. Do you mind if I ask you a question? Oh, wonderful. What's New Atlantis like? Oh my, that sounds incredible. Ever since I overheard one of the tourists speaking about it, I've always wanted to go. We hear about it, of course, but we rarely get much exposure to other worlds beyond the people who come from them to visit our little colony. I wonder if I can convince Nathaniel to go on a trip there with me and our daughter. Do you mind if I ask you another question? Thanks. I promise not to take too much of your time.
I thought I was on a
Is the
tour.
Freestar Collective as lawless as I've heard? I figured the stories weren't all true. How else would you expect people to live together if you can't trust in laws to keep everyone safe? Even in a small community like ours, we have to maintain law and order. Though, I understand it gets difficult to always protect that out in the vastness of space. I imagine it's the same in the Freestar Collective. Is it okay if I change the subject? Oh, thank you. Are there real
So
planets
nice.
full of plants, fresh air, and water? I've read about them. It seems incredible, doesn't it? I've only ever known Titan, and it's always so cold and drab. I've always dreamed of visiting one to breathe the air, feel the warmth of its sun, but my husband is reluctant to leave our home. Can I ask you something else? Oh, wonderful. Is space travel as exciting as it seems? I've heard stories about pirates and spaceship malfunctions and all sorts of terrible things. I've always wanted to try going into space, but I'm also worried about all those dangers. Maybe people here are right. The dangers here are few, and we know how to take care of them. Space is too unknown. Those are all the questions I have at the moment. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day for me.
Wow, so polite.
If you need medical attention, see Dr. Dakota. Any questions about the farms? Onward it is! We'll be stopping by the Brown Horse Tavern later in the tour, which uses many of these locally sourced ingredients in their cooking. But for now, it's just a short way to our next stop. Follow me! So, the old biolabs are just on the other side of this building, believe it or not. We'll step on through the hallway there. They're not in use anymore, but the colony has faithfully recreated them as a historical exhibit, true to the original purpose of the Titan Astrobase. Sadly, they're undergoing some light renovation. Otherwise, there'd be interactive activities for kids to learn about how they used to search for microbial life here.
New Homestead is a living history exhibit, but these are real people, so please be kind to them.
Pardon the dust, but I can still answer some questions about the old Titan Astrobase biolabs. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot to mention that. That's what this place was originally called. When NASA divested its interest in the Astrobase and turned it over to the people back in 2185, they renamed it New Homestead and established it as a historical site. Funny you should ask! Sadly, none. See, NASA funded the Titan Astrobase project because conditions seemed ripe for primordial life to form in Titan's methane pools. They tested many different sites, performed deep core ice drilling, and more, yet nothing turned up. Well, NASA defunded the xenobiology program in 2132, but a scientist by the name of Catherine Neely proposed research into advanced colony building on inhospitable worlds. So, by 2135, work began on what would ultimately set us all up to create habitats anywhere humans dared to explore. These very labs housed the computer systems used in that research. That and general storage for the colony. Lots of storage. Sure thing. Keep in mind the Biolabs exhibit is closed for visitors, but I'll be waiting if you need a minute anyway.
I'm still gonna look around.
Off-worlders always ask how I can live here. I wonder how they can.
Damn powers on the fritz again. Joyce always seems to need help clearing ice.
Pardon the dust, but I can... You got it! On to our next stop! Next, we'll be heading outside, so make sure to check those seals on your suit because it's a bit chilly out there. We're going out into the frozen wastes of Titan to see what powers this planet. Watch your step outside, by the way. The ice can be slippery if you're not careful. The goal is to keep people out of Dr. Lakota's infirmary.
Heads up, if you're planning to go to Chunks, Luther's been bothering anyone with a ship for help.
Oh, that was quick. Why did you close it back on yourself? Ah, Bethesda AI. Never change.
Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. Powering New Homestead. As you might imagine, generating energy was a real challenge back in the day because the technology was much more crude then. But crude or not, it was that technology that sustained the old Astro base. And it might surprise you to learn that the same technology is still working today. The interesting thing about this old colony is that it's mostly powered by clean, renewable energy. You'll see one of the methods used on the horizon up ahead. That's right, New Homestead's famous wind farms. This spot was chosen for the colony in part because of its constant winds. These turbines have been integral to the colony's function since its establishment as a cheap, mostly reliable source of electricity. So, let's talk about wind power, shall we? You're right. Most surface wind on Titan isn't too terribly strong, but here, the altitude and other conditions are perfect for sustained wind power. Like many worlds with atmosphere, the higher you go, the windier it gets. Mostly. I'm sure you've noticed the occasional brownouts. I guess these old machines have a habit of freezing up, what with all the ice out here. There's some methane on reserve for critical life support systems, but everything else here is otherwise powered by the units you see here. You're looking at a piece of history. Sure, wind power is used throughout the galaxy, but these people were able to make do with it for hundreds of years. It's impressive that was all they had back then, and still make it work to this day. Absolutely. Careful, though. I wouldn't stand too close to the turbines if I were you.
Oh, what's this?
see anything.
Interesting.
So, let's talk about wind power, shall we? You're the boss. Let's go! Moving right along, we're going to learn about Titan's great natural resources. Titan is rich with hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. Surely you saw huge pools of the stuff on your descent into New Homestead. I like to think they add to the natural beauty of this world. Of course, stay away from them because, like anything beautiful, they can be dangerous. Just like my last ex-wife's pet. She had this gorgeous, I don't know what you'd call it, creature. The guy that sold it to her couldn't tell her what it was or where it was from. I don't think it was even a legal sell, to be honest. The thing was very easy on the eyes. Feathers, all the colors of the rainbow. Nasty bite, though. Wound up in the hospital and almost lost my hand. Still not enough for her to get rid of the dang thing. Anyway, there's a reason she's my ex-wife. But enough about me. We were talking about methane and other resources, right? Hey, can you believe it? Back in the 20th century on Earth, they used to fight wars over natural resources like this and petroleum. They had this whole moon here basically made of hydrocarbons in their own backyard. They just couldn't get to it. Incredible how far we've come. New Homestead is home to one of the oldest and largest methane processing plants in the settled system. Every year, UC engineers go through a painstaking, month-long maintenance process. That's how this place has remained operational as long as it has. I'm not going to take you too close to the machinery, liability and all, but I can still answer questions. Questions? Fire away. It's not as if they shut down for a month. It's not shut down at all, actually. See, this place is built with redundant systems, so they can shut it down piece by piece and suffer only a reduction in throughput. During that time, the UC gets more of its resources from other places, allowing New Homestead to maintain what it needs. Exports mostly, since this world is so methane rich and has the infrastructure for it, a lot of the UC's methane comes from Titan. Of course, New Homesteaders use it themselves for everything from generating heat to turning it into breathable oxygen via modern science. Oh, no one's ever asked me that before. Something to do with methane-eating microbes, I believe? I honestly don't know. Sorry. Take your time. But not too much time. Don't want to keep other customers waiting, you know.
Lots of history here, if you're into that sort of thing.
Just got a message. Looks like we got another leak in Sector 3.
Yeah?
I know. I'll send someone to go patch it up.
I could really go for some of Anya's cooking over at the Brown Horse.
Replace the whole...
Those folks in Sidonia may be closer to Earth, but we do a better job of preserving its tradition.
Alright, that was the wrong way.
Lots of history here, if you're into that sort of thing.
Questions? Fire away! Okie dokie, Artichoke. There will be time for more later anyway. So, this next stop is a bit of an interesting one. I only recently made it part of the tour. Fun fact, it's also the only natural landmark on the tour. What we're about to see is a glacial spire we affectionately call Emir's Horn. This colus used to be named after a character in a popular fantasy novel, but it was changed a couple hundred years ago to avoid any potential litigation. Now, what's a colus, you might say? Colus derives from the Latin word for hill, and scientists only gave names to groups of hills on a planet's surface. So in reality, the term you hear more often is the plural, coles, with an E. You probably don't hear it very often where you're from, because it was usually a term reserved for unexplored planets, back when they didn't have the technology to describe.
If we need to get closer, let's move in.
Because of that, The term is much more common in the Sol system, but you may still hear it occasionally in reference to uncharted worlds. This planet's full of them, though, and they like to preserve that history here. So here it is, Ymir's Horn. You're free to take a closer look if you like. According to ancient Norse mythology, Ymir was the first Jotun, a frost giant. In the legend, they were both male and female and gave birth to the progenitors of all giants from their armpits. Ymir even predated the Norse gods, who, as it turns out, killed Ymir to fashion the earth and all of humanity from the corpse. It's a fascinating story, and the horn here is a fitting tribute to it. I've heard this particular formation was caused by an ancient volcano. Something about steam and wind, then worn down over time. But I'm not 100% sure. Just be careful. It can get slippery out that way. I'll wait here.
We got all the resources. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. A lot of good pictures there. You know, I wonder if there's a cave here or something, you know? pretty cool. Uh-oh. What's down here? Whoa. What's all this then? It's pretty cool. All this exploration. Now, can we get out? Belongs to somebody. Alright.
So here it is, Emir's Horn. You're free to take a closer look if you like. Excellent. On to the next stop then. So, we're gonna head back inside through the methane processing plant. Try not to touch anything on your way. We want to make sure to respect Dr. Lakota's wishes to be safer around here. Ah, that brings me to another point. You'll notice the people around here have last names related to where their families originated from on Earth as a way to remember the past. The museum curator, Maurice Leon, has more information about that if you're interested. You can find him inside the main concourse. Loves talking about it. You'll find most of the locals here are very friendly to tourists like yourself. Tourism is a major draw to this colony these days, and they respect that. Most of them are happy to talk at length about what they do here. Their rugged lifestyle is a point of pride for a lot of these folks. This area we're walking through is the nerve center of the plant, where technicians keep an eye on the operation. Since methane production is such an important part of the colony's livelihood, it's important that the techs notice any issues and react to them quickly. Anyway, we're headed into the ice mines. It's a natural spring where water bubbles up from deep below, but due to the cold, it keeps freezing as it reaches the surface.
Ah.
What else can I tell you about the ice mines? I wouldn't recommend it. First, it's an active work site. Second, it still needs to be filtered and checked for contaminants. But don't worry, we'll stop somewhere for refreshments before the tour is over. Good question. I believe it has something to do with not wanting to contaminate the water with methane and other chemicals. The ice helps prevent impurities in the water. At least this is what I've been told. Not all. Some water is created as a byproduct of methane processing, but that's usually saved in the emergency reserves. Of course, watch your step. It can get slick around here. I'll stay behind.
Those folks in Sidonia may be closer to Earth, but we do a better job preserving those traditions.
Stressing that folks need to live like this just to make it. Space is hostile, but so is society.
We used to get more tourists than we do these days.
Other tourists come to learn about the ice mines, huh? It's dangerous in the ice mines. I'd much rather answer your questions than have you going off to explore on your own. For one, New Homestead is not a wealthy colony. But we also pride ourselves on doing things the old ways. It's part of the living history, they say. We don't mind. We work hard here. It's very rewarding. For drinking water, and we use some of it to produce this air you're breathing. We recycle a lot of what we use, but we still need a nice, steady supply of fresh water. Lucky for us, Titan provides. I'm surprised I still get this question. It's slippery, it's sharp, it can break, it can cave in. Those are just the obvious examples. Titan is also full of methane, which can sometimes be trapped under the ice. As you know, methane can explode under the right conditions. It can also asphyxiate you if you breathe in too much of it. Ah, so you can relate. It's good to talk with someone who understands the challenges of the job. Not everyone does. If I might ask, what do you mind? Ah, I see. I can respect that. We used to do more traditional mining like that here, but it made much more sense to do it off-world, since it takes a lot more effort for less gain. We mostly export methane and other natural gases instead. Anyway, I'm sure we could swap mining stories all day, but I really should be getting back to what I was doing soon. Be careful out there.
What else can I tell you about the ice mines? Sounds good. Let's keep going then. We have just one more stop before we're done with the tour, and it just happens to be my favorite. This colony is home to the longest-running establishment still in existence, the Brown Horse Tavern. The Brown Horse started as a simple mess hall for the scientists and workers when the underground was built, but it's been operated by the same family ever since. Now, what's a horse, you might say? They were a large four-legged animal on Earth, often used for transportation or manual labor. Long before space travel was even a dream for the folks of Earth, even before antique machines like automobiles were possible, horses could be found everywhere. You might have seen them in old movies or read about them somewhere. If not, I highly recommend looking into them sometime. They're beautiful animals. The tavern's original owner was infatuated with them, from what I understand, and named the place in their honor. The moniker, Brown Horse Tavern, is also a throwback to names of similar Earth restaurants hundreds of years before it was established. That delicious smell is making me hungry. Can I answer anything about the Brown Horse? Anya Seattle is the current owner of the Brown Horse. It's been in the Seattle family for generations. But Anya will be able to tell you more herself. Feel free to ask her. It doesn't feel right coming from me when she's standing right over there. Ooh, that's a tough one. I honestly love everything Anya serves here. I'd be doing her a disservice to recommend one dish over another. You want the real answer? Order one of everything. Easy. All the other ones fell to ruin when we abandoned Earth. There were technically older ones on Mars, but those have long since shuttered or been replaced. Oh yeah, by all means, stop in for a moment.
Oops.
Pull up a seat. I'll take care of you.
This is a pretty common method of mining on snowball planets even today. Maybe low-tech, but it's effective.
Welcome. I'm Anya. Is this your first time with us at the Brown Horse Tavern? Oh, well, thank you for joining us. You're in for a real treat. We've got an assortment of food and drinks, some of which follow homemade recipes that have been passed down over hundreds of years. So, what can I do for you? Oh, hardly. The locals pretty much stay away from chunks, so whenever they don't feel like cooking themselves and want a fresh meal, they come to me. Only the tourists eat that junk. But don't tell that to my husband. He manages the chunks. I love him, but he's a bit of a fanatic about it. You mean the Brown Horse? Well, it's only the longest continuous running restaurant since humans started settling outside of Earth. There's a lot of history within these walls. And some damn fine food and drink, if I say so myself. This place has been in my family for generations. My however many, great-grandmother opened it when the first colony started on Titan. Back then, it was a simple mess hall that she chose to put a little extra love and flavor into. And now, It's the pride of New Homestead. Let me show you what we have.
I think that's some age right here. Oh, it looks delicious. Haha, Kipples. Excuse me. That actually looks delicious. Wow. I'm getting hungry.
Hope you'll be back sometime.
Off-worlders always ask us how I can live
last
here.
week.
I know.
I'm just glad the auxiliary power.
If you need medical
Remember that
attention,
time a few
see
years
Dr.
back where
Gordon.
everyone had to huddle together for work?
Brilliant.
Oh, the tourists.
Hey, boss. Welcome to my old Joyce stomping says she's on it. grounds. Something about the turbines freezing up again.
Joyce is great at what she does. I'm sure she'll handle it.
You know it. Need me to help out with some mining anywhere? Catch you later.
Yeah, it's not say hello.
It's a little weird that people come here to see what early colony life was like. To me, it's just how we live.
It's so cold.
You get used to the methane process and smell.
So then I told him
After a
that
while.
we churn our own butter. He completely bought it.
Welcome to the Brown Horse.
I did.
That delicious smell is making me hungry. Can I answer anything about the brown horse?
They're gonna think we're more old-fashioned than they already believe.
Okay then.
That's a good
All right,
They
we're
already
headed to the
got us
last
for some
stop.
sort of ancient
Right back where we
curiosity.
began.
Oh,
Feel
I'm
free to
just
check
trying
out the
have a
museum
little
exhibit
fun.
in the main concourse here. These displays are full of rare earth trinkets salvaged from before humanity left, and Maurice is happy to talk about the collection. The museum's curator, Maurice, will be happy to talk to you if you want to know more. Well, that's that. I hope you enjoyed Starsap Tours as much as I enjoy giving them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I really appreciate it. You know, I rely on tips from good people like you, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy the rest of your stay in New Homestead.
You know what? I'll match that. Fascinating bits on the hydrocarbon Maria, the coalies, the fumarolic ice towers, the processing plants. Just loved it all. And you were so patient explaining everything, probably for the millionth time. Now, if you'll excuse us, we're going to the gift shop, right?
Take care!
Hey, Dusty. If you're ever thinking to yourself, I could really listen to Barrett's dulcet voice right now. Then instead of dreaming about me, stop by and say hello, okay? Hey, so I'm really enjoying our time together. Thought you should know. It's been a long time since I worked with someone so closely. I didn't realize how much I missed it. And you haven't stopped me from looking into this stuff with Irvin either. So, thank you. See, that's what makes you a good captain in my book. You're supportive. On that note, I do have some news about Irvin's case. So, I wanted to let you know that I heard back from my contact, and I think you'll want to hear this. They sent me a copy of some public records. It's interesting. There was a claim filed against Irvin, accusing him of damaging their investments. Looks like Irvin didn't even enter a plea. Some of Irvin's paychecks were seized, as well as any assets that weren't under joint ownership.
Suspicious.
The Hephaestus Mining Corporation, and they also won the case. Well, if it was Irvin, I do want to understand that, because I just can't believe it. Anyway, this mining corporation, Hephaestus, sued Irvin, claiming he irreparably damaged their mine. They said he killed the apex predators in the area around the mine, which led to herd creatures overeating the grasses. That caused the soils to release too many gases too fast, which cost Hephaestus a ton of money. They claim the creature he killed was a critical hive species that caused a cascade effect when they were killed off. Irvin killed the equivalent of a queen bee, and the whole hive collapsed, basically. It looks like they considered him a no-show and ruled against him. So anyway, according to the court documents, there was a witness for the defense, who was a no-show too. Then Hephaestus won by default. They tried to take his apartment, but because it's in my name too, they couldn't. Yes, they plan to stay in the same system for a while. They withdrew their testimony the morning of the trial. Said they had a sincere change of heart. I didn't know he bought it. Must have been a better deal than renting for the time he was there. Kinda. I had a mountain of back taxes to pay, and utilities, and repairs. It would have been far better for my pockets had I just donated it to the city. But I'm glad I didn't. There may be clues there about his case. So here's what I was thinking. I can persuade my contact to keep digging a little bit more. I don't want to press our luck, so I'll just ask them to follow up on one thing. Should I tell them to investigate the company more, or look into the witness instead?
Yeah.
For that much money, they'll do it. You know, this investigation is time-consuming, but it's also pretty cathartic. And who knows? Maybe if we solve this case, it'll mean a better future for Gagarin. But that's thinking too far ahead. Anyway, Captain, thanks for checking in with me.
You're alright, Barrett. I can't add him to the crew, though. I have to get my, Alright, let's finish the tour, and then we can finish the episode.
Careful. There are some dangerous areas around here that are not part of any tours.
Welcome to New Homestead.
Alright, we'll go ahead and end it first, right now, and then we'll do the museum tour and finish up with what we missed in the with the lady over at Infirmary. So I'll see y'all next episode. This is a long one.
Hey now, what was that about? Come on, we have other things.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Let me I literally just set down my controller. Okay, let me set my controller the right way. There we go. Okay, now we can end the episode.